Why do we bring the concept of virtue to leadership? We bring it because we want to show that leadership without virtue is in fact not leadership at all. It can be manipulation, it can be techniques, it can be psychology, whatever we want, but it is not leadership. Leadership has to do with character. And character is made up of virtues. So we have to speak about virtues when we speak about character. And leadership is linked to character. In which way? First, we understand perfectly that in order to trust a leader, we need to see a man or woman with virtues, with character, with courage, with prudence, with justice, with magnanimity. These are virtues. These are not emotions. These are stable habits of character. We have to practice them in order to develop them. So people who practice those virtues become real leaders because they are people of character and we trust them. And the second point it is that these virtues give you an incredible capacity for action. The Latin word virtus means in fact strength, power, which means that virtue is a dynamic force. And in order to lead, in order to make certain things that a leader has to do, you have to have those virtues. People who have not those virtues will not lead people, but will direct them as bosses through manipulation. Here, either you have character and you become a real leader, or you don't have character and then you become a manipulator. But you can't be in between. That's why leadership is, in fact, is naturally virtuous leadership. Leadership is a spiritual, a moral exercise. It is not a technique. This is what we want to say when we use the concept of virtuous leadership. There are two specific virtues of leaders. The first one is called magnanimity, and the second one is called humility. Magnanimity, it is the striving of the spirit, the mind, the heart, the will towards great things. This is the first thing we see in leaders. It is this capacity for setting to themselves very high goals in life, setting to the others very high goals in life, sense of mission, the sense of vocation in life. This has to do with the virtue of magnanimity. Awareness of your own dignity and greatness. Awareness of your own talent, this talent that you have to develop, to multiply, in order to make a difference. This is what we call magnanimity. And the second virtue that is specific to leaders is, in fact, humility. And humility is the habit of service to the others, because people understand that leadership is not self-serving. You don't lead in order to serve yourself. You lead in order to serve the others. And for this, you need to have the capacity to overcome your own ego. And you overcome your own ego through the virtue of humility. It's fraternal humility, which means the capacity to understand that God, in a way or another, is present in the others. And then you serve the others because you see God in the others. So magnanimity and humility are very specific virtues. They are virtues of the heart, really. And those virtues give you this capacity to understand what is a human being. Magnanimity is about understanding your own dignity and greatness. Humility is awareness of the greatness and dignity of the other. Very often when people teach about the virtues, they don't speak about magnanimity and humility. They speak about the four traditional virtues that we call cardinal. And these four virtues are very important in leadership. They are not the essence, they are not the essence of leadership. They are not the specific virtues of leaders, but they are the foundation of it. Practical wisdom is the virtue of decision makers. If you have practical wisdom, then you understand what's happening around. You can appreciate and understand the political situation, the economic situation of a country, of a situation that demands for a decision. You understand it through prudence, and then you can make a decision that is appropriate to this situation. This is practical wisdom. Leaders need this, obviously. Without wisdom, you cannot be a decision maker. And leaders have to be decision makers. Courage gives you the capacity, in fact, to stay the course. When you have made a decision, you have to stick to your decision. You have to implement this decision. And for this, you need courage. No courage, no leadership. Courage gives you the capacity for boldness and audacity. If you don't have this, you cannot take risks. Without the capacity to take risks, no leadership. Self-control gives you the capacity to not to control your emotions, but to direct your emotions and your passions, the energy of nature, towards the fulfillment of your mission in life. So you need self-control in order to be able, in order to have the passion, to have really the passion that you need in order to fulfill your mission in life. And then the fourth virtue, the cardinal virtue, is called justice. Justice gives you the capacity to give each one what is due to him, each person what is due to him, which means that when you practice justice, in fact, you enter the heart of the others. It's the virtue of communication. And for leaders, this is absolutely fundamental. I mean, leadership is not an individualistic exercise. You're dealing with people, you're leading human beings. So you need the capacity to enter the hearts of the others. And you enter the hearts of the others through the virtue of justice, which is the virtue of communication, the virtue that relates human beings to one another. So when you practice justice, you love human beings. Love is a part of the virtue of justice. There is no, you can't say you're just with people if you don't love them. The only way to be just with human beings is to love them because they are human beings. So without those four cardinal virtues, fundamental virtues, everything collapses in the life of an individual. And in the life of a leader, everything also collapses. That's why we say those four cardinal virtues are fundamental virtues. They are the foundation of leadership, but they are not the essence of leadership. The essence of leadership is magnanimity and humility, greatness and service. Very often people say that leaders are born and then we don't have to work on ourselves because we are not leaders. The truth is that when you understand that virtue is in fact the key aspect of leadership, and you know what virtue is about, then you come very rapidly to the conclusion that leaders are not born, they are trained, because you develop virtues in yourself with time. Very often when you look at young boys or young girls, 13 or 14 years old, you look at them and you think she or he will become a leader. But after you look at her, you look at him when he's 40 or 45, and he's a nobody. She's a nobody. And on the contrary, very often you look at those people, they are young, and say, well, this one will not be able to do anything in life because he has not received so much. But the truth is that because he knows or she knows that he has not received so much through nature, she will develop a second nature. And this is character. Experience shows us that nobody is born a leader, that everybody can become a leader. Because leadership has to do with character, and character is something we build, not something we're born with. People are born without character. People are born with temperament. And temperament, it's biology. And the only way to control your biology, not to be slave to biology, is to develop character, to develop your spirit, to develop the virtues. Don't ask me at what moment you become a leader. You are a leader at the very moment you're aware that you have to develop the virtues and you work on yourself. Those people who work on themselves are leaders because they have understood what is the most important thing in life, which is the spiritual development, your personal spiritual development and the spiritual development of the others. The Romans were used to make a difference between two kinds of power. The power they were used to call potestas, which is the formal power they have, and another kind of power they were used to call auctoritas. And we have in English the word authority and the word power. So I would say that leadership is more about authority than about power. Authority, it's the power that stems from character. And potestas, or pure power, is the power that stems from, I would say, your function. I am the boss. I am the CEO of the organization. This is formal power. But this is not about leadership. Bossship is not leadership. It's not because you're the CEO of an organization that you have character. Many of the people that lead us, unfortunately, well, they say they lead us, but they lead nobody. They don't even lead themselves. They are just bosses. It's unfortunate that my boss is not a leader, of course, but I can make this distinction. Everybody can understand in my organization, I see who is a leader and I see who is a boss. And very often the one who is in charge of the community is not a leader, he's the boss. And the media, unfortunately, don't understand that. And the media, I used to use the word leaders for everything. And they use mostly the word leaders when they have in mind bosses.